Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when we must stop living as victims of our own excuses and start living as designers of our destiny. Life is not simply about surviving. It is about strategizing your path, setting your vision, and walking through challenges with an unshakable will. When storms rise, you don't need more strength, you need more strategy. The mind of a ruthless strategist is not about being cruel. It is about being deliberate, intentional, and unstoppable in pursuit of what truly matters. It is about transforming your pain into power, your fear into courage, and your doubt into discipline. Today, I want to remind you that the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who strategize, execute, and conquer. See the bigger picture before anyone else. When life feels heavy, most people only focus on what's right in front of them. The stress, the disappointment, the mess. But that's not how transformation happens. If you keep reacting to small situations, you stay trapped in them. You've got to zoom out. You've got to remind yourself that this one frustrating moment isn't your whole life. It's just a dot on the map, and if you look at the bigger picture, you'll see that this struggle has a place in the story you're building. The bigger picture gives you perspective. Without it, you'll overvalue the pain you feel today and undervalue the growth it brings tomorrow. When you understand the vision of your future, you stop treating every delay as a disaster. You start seeing setbacks as preparation. That clarity is what separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who rise. Vision is not a luxury, it's a survival skill for anyone who wants to transform. Think about the moments where you felt overwhelmed by the pressure of now. Maybe it was bills, rejection, or people doubting you. In those moments, your brain shrinks your world to the size of the problem. But if you lift your eyes and look ahead, the problem doesn't disappear, it just gets smaller compared to the destination you're heading toward. That's the power of a bigger picture. It turns a storm into a stepping stone. Every strategist knows that clarity beats emotion. You cannot afford to live your life reacting to every little obstacle with panic. That's what average people do. Instead, you anchor yourself to a bigger vision, and that vision gives you direction. It makes you deliberate. It makes you steady. When you can see beyond the now, you no longer waste energy on distractions. You know what's noise and what's necessary? Transformation starts when you train your mind to step back before stepping forward. It's about asking yourself, how does this moment fit into the vision I have for my life? That one question takes you out of survival mode and puts you into strategy mode. Instead of drowning in temporary setbacks, you begin to navigate them. Instead of fearing the unknown, you learn to shape it. The truth is this: you can't transform into the person you're meant to be if you only live in the moment. You need to see beyond it. You need to build from the future backward. That's what ruthless strategy is. It's not living by accident, but living with precision, vision, and purpose that most people are too distracted to recognize. Make hard choices without fear. Every big transformation comes with a decision point where you either choose growth or choose comfort. Most people avoid making hard choices because they don't want to disappoint anyone, they don't want to feel uncomfortable, or they don't want to risk failure. But you have to realize that avoiding hard choices is the fastest way to stay stuck. If you want to move forward, you've got to start choosing progress over approval. Hard choices require courage. And courage isn't about being fearless, it's about acting in spite of fear. That's what makes a ruthless strategist powerful. They don't wait for fear to disappear, they move forward with it. They understand that sacrifice is part of the process. You can't hold on to every relationship, every comfort, and every habit if you're serious about transformation. You have to be willing to let go of what holds you back. Think about the times you've hesitated. You knew what you needed to do. Maybe it was ending a toxic friendship, quitting a draining habit, or taking a leap toward your dream, but fear stopped you. That hesitation cost you time. It cost you energy. And it kept you exactly where you were. Hard choices feel heavy, but the weight of regret is always heavier. The people who transform their lives are the ones who choose the tough path early. Making hard choices also means facing judgment. People won't always understand why you cut ties, why you wake up earlier, why you say no to things they think are normal. And that's okay. You're not here to live their version of life, you're here to live yours. A ruthless strategist doesn't seek approval, they seek alignment with their vision. When you stop needing validation, you start making decisions that actually move you forward. What you need to understand is that choices shape identity. Every hard choice you make tells your mind that you are someone who can handle difficulty. That builds confidence, and confidence builds momentum. And momentum is what makes transformation possible. You don't suddenly wake up transformed, you build it by stacking courageous choices, one after another, until your entire life reflects a new standard. So the question is not whether you'll face hard choices, it's whether you'll face them with fear or with strategy. If you can learn to choose courage over comfort consistently, your entire world will shift. Transformation doesn't belong to the fearless. It belongs to the ones who act. Even when fear is loud, turn obstacles into weapons. Obstacles are part of life. But here's the truth. They don't have to weaken you. They can actually sharpen you. Most people stop at the first sign of failure, but a ruthless strategist looks at an obstacle and asks, how can I use this? That shift in perspective changes everything. Suddenly, rejection becomes feedback. Setbacks become lessons, and pain becomes fuel. Think about the last time you faced something that nearly broke you. Maybe it was losing the job, facing betrayal, or watching a dream collapse. At first, it felt impossible to bounce back. But months later, didn't you notice that you were tougher, smarter, and wiser because of it? That's what happens when you choose to weaponize obstacles instead of surrendering to them. They don't just change your story, they build your strategy. A ruthless strategist studies failure the way an athlete studies game tapes. They analyze, they learn, and they adapt. They don't just take the hit. They turn the hit into information. Every obstacle carries clues. And if you're willing to dig into the pain, you'll find answers that move you forward. Transformation doesn't come from avoiding obstacles, it comes from mastering them. When you start turning obstacles into weapons, you stop fearing challenges. In fact, you start welcoming them. Because you know that each one will equip you with something new, more resilience, more discipline, more creativity. Challenges stop being threats and start becoming opportunities. And when that happens, your mindset shifts from fragile to unstoppable. This isn't about pretending obstacles don't hurt. They do. Pain is real, but what matters is what you do with that pain. Do you let it bury you, or do you let it sharpen you? A strategist doesn't waste pain. They squeeze every ounce of growth out of it and use it as leverage for their next move. That's how transformation happens. It's not avoiding pain, it's converting it. The truth is, obstacles will either define you or refine you. And the difference lies in strategy. If you choose to weaponize your setbacks, nothing in this world can stop your transformation. Because the more life throws against you, the more powerful you become. Move in silence and strike with impact. One of the biggest mistakes people make is announcing their every move. They talk about their goals, their plans, and their dreams to anyone who will listen. But here's the problem: talking about it doesn't build it, execution does. A ruthless strategist knows the power of silence. They conserve energy, they focus on the grind, and they let the results speak for themselves. Silence isn't weakness, it's power. When you stop broadcasting every step, you eliminate distractions. You eliminate unnecessary opinions. You eliminate the noise that comes from people who don't understand your vision. Silence creates focus, and focus creates results. The more you build in private, the more powerful your reveal will be. Think about it. Every time you announce a goal, your brain tricks you into feeling like you've already accomplished something. That's why so many people get stuck. They feel proud just for saying what they'll do, but then the energy fades. Strategy is about doing, not declaring. It's about letting discipline replace validation. Moving in silence also gives you a psychological edge. Nobody sees you coming. While others waste time trying to impress people with empty promises, you're building something real. And when the results show up, they can't be denied. That's the strike. That's the impact. You don't have to convince anyone, you let your work do it for you. Transformation doesn't require applause. It requires discipline. If you're serious about change, you don't need an audience. You need consistency. Silence allows you to keep your head down and your hands busy. And by the time the world sees you, you're not trying. You're already winning. So stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop asking for approval. Build quietly, build relentlessly. And when it's time, let your results speak with a force that no amount of talking could ever match. Play the long game relentlessly. Most people lose because they're in a hurry. They want success fast, they want transformation overnight, and when it doesn't happen, they quit. But a ruthless strategist knows that the long game wins every time. Transformation is not about quick wins, it's about consistent dominance over time. You don't just show up once, you show up every single day. The long game is hard because it tests patience. It tests your commitment when progress feels invisible. But if you can stay consistent when no one is watching, you build a foundation that can't be shaken. That's the difference between someone who peaks fast and someone who lasts. A strategist doesn't want hype. They want permanence. Think about compound interest. It's not flashy at first, but over time, it multiplies into something powerful. That's exactly how transformation works. Small disciplines, repeated daily, build into unstoppable momentum. The long game rewards the ones who don't quit when it's boring, when it's hard, when it feels thankless. Playing the long game also means outlasting people who give up too soon. Most people burn out. They lose focus. They abandon their vision when results don't show up quickly enough. But if you can stay steady, if you can keep your head down and keep moving, you eventually surpass them. The long game isn't about being the fastest, it's about being the last one standing. Patience doesn't mean passivity. It means relentless effort, day after day, with the understanding that true transformation takes time. You don't rush it. You don't shortcut it. You build it brick by brick. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that your consistency built a life others thought was impossible. The truth is, the long game isn't glamorous. It's not easy. But it's the only game worth playing if you want real transformation. Shortcuts disappear. Quick wins fade. But a legacy built through relentless patience will outlast everything. In the end, transformation doesn't happen by chance, it happens by design. And the design requires the mind of a ruthless strategist. It's not about cruelty. It's about clarity. It's about seeing the bigger picture when everyone else is stuck in the moment, making the hard choices others avoid, turning your obstacles into weapons, moving silently while building relentlessly, and committing to the long game when others give up too soon. That mindset doesn't just change how you live, it changes who you become. When you decide to think like a strategist, you stop being controlled by fear, doubt, and circumstances. You start leading your life with intention, precision, and unshakable confidence. The storms will still come, the challenges will still test you, but instead of breaking you, they will sharpen you. And one day, you'll look back and realize that you didn't just survive. You transformed into someone unstoppable. Because you dare to think, act, and live with the mind of a ruthless strategist